Hello, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to another episode. This was supposed to be done yesterday, but if you live in Canada, or if you know what's going on in Canada, yesterday we had a 15 hour power outage for many people, actually, 15 hours in total. And I unfortunately happened to be with Rogers, like a lot of other people. And so, yeah, there's no way that we were going to be able to do anything yesterday. 11 o'clock, I think, is around the time when my internet came back home. That was quite too late. So we were supposed to do it yesterday, but we're going to do it today instead. And we're going to talk about Frenkie de Jong. Smash a like for Rogers. Do you want to smash a like for Rogers? Probably not. But we'll talk about Frenkie de Jong. We'll talk about the long saga that has engulfed this whole situation. And then we'll probably look into what the resolution might possibly be. Now, a lot of people probably already know this. And one of the things that was talked about with Frenkie de Jong, when this opportunity, we actually talked about this right at the end of the season, which was around the May, right? It was the end of May, is when it first broke that de Jong to Manchester United is 90% done. That was what Gerard Romero had said. And as a United fan, I was really excited. I was excited because it was a quick deal. I think the excitement wasn't about de Jong. The excitement wasn't about the fee or whatever. And the excitement was the fact that this was a quick deal. Like 90% out of nowhere is something that we thought United would be doing, and 90% in done, it sounds like a very quick deal. And we're like, yeah, well, maybe a week, 2 weeks will be done, right? Because when you say 90%, that's a big deal. And then the saga dragged on and on and on. Frenkie de Jong didn't want to leave Barcelona. I mean, that's fair enough. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. Barcelona technically don't want to let him go. There was the talk, well, they want to let him go because they're going to get money for him. Then it was, well, they're going to let him go because tactically he doesn't fit into the team. Sorry, I think coming down with something is also, I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible. But yeah, so tactically he doesn't fit. There was those rumors. Then there was, of course, the thought that Ten Hag came out and talked about a little bit about, there was thought that Ten Hag really wants to stay on because he fits his style. And the saga just kept dragging on and on. There was like transfer fee needs to be agreed. Personal terms haven't been agreed. This, that, it just kept going on. And now here we are. Almost 2 months have passed and there's no resolution in sight. There's absolutely no resolution in sight. The whole deal, I think United fans have gotten fed up of this deal. They really have gotten fed up with this entire saga, this entire deal. And in the meantime, Barcelona have just kind of kept dying their feet. I don't think there's one person to blame. I don't think it's entirely the fault of Manchester United. I do feel United could have been quicker and proactive. If Ten Hag really wanted this deal done, then United should have gone, here's the money. You either accept it or you reject it, but let's not try and negotiate or haggle. What United have tried to do is in a complicated deal like this, the last thing you want is to be haggling and delaying, time. Right, and they've done that. They've kind of delayed. There was talk about Barcelona needing to sell before June 30th. Apparently, that was something that was talked about. Then that deadline has now clearly passed, and apparently they don't need to. There were economic levers and things like that. So that's what United should have done: is put out the money that they felt was a fair valuation, obviously, and you go, here's the money. You either take it or you leave it, right? And you don't necessarily, and that's about it. What they've instead done is they've tried to haggle over add-ons or payments, this, fees, that, it's just, they've done their part, but I don't think they're entirely to blame. Barcelona, on the other hand, the issue for Barcelona is, and I don't know where this, I really don't know what Barcelona's issue really here is, because there's so many issues, it's hard to pinpoint what the correct one is. The fact is that they are in debt, they're in deep debt, right? But if you look at the transfer activity, you wouldn't think that they were in debt. I mean, they're trying to sign Lewandowski. They're trying to sign Raphinha. They've signed Kessie. They've signed Christensen on free transfers. Yes, but they're still trying to sign them. They're trying to sign Cesar Azpilicueta. They're trying to sign Marcos Alonso. They've offered Dembele a new contract. Yes, it's lower wages, but they've offered him a new contract. So they still want to keep him. Okay. So the question is, if you have all of this money to get all of these different players, and these players are not cheap, by the way. None of these players are cheap. Even the free transfers will be signing on bonuses. Their wages will be quite significant. But they're still trying to sign players. So what is the issue with Frenkie de Jong? Either keeping him, they want to keep him, right? Or they want to sell him. They're getting a reasonable price. What's the problem? What's the holdup? And I just think it's hard for me to understand what the issue is as far as Barcelona are concerned. Is it money? Is it the fact that they want? And I sometimes in this public image as well. I think a lot of fans are upset that Frenkie de Jong is leaving, and I think what has happened is they're trying to save face. They're trying to make it look like Frenkie de Jong is pushing for a move. Frenkie de Jong has come out and said he doesn't want to go to Manchester. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. He's very clear about that since he said, I don't want to leave Barcelona. Barcelona is my dream club. He doesn't want to leave Barcelona. So if he doesn't want to leave Barcelona, how do you force a player who doesn't want to go out? How do you force him out if you really want him out? Right. And I think Barcelona are trying to do that. They're trying to go, well, we don't want to sell him, but there's a salary issue. So now, you turn it with the player, and then the player says, well, if he leaves, then they go, well, he didn't agree to a pay cut. We thought he would do it for the club, right? Because that's the way sometimes it goes. Frenkie de Jong, by the way, is totally fair and reasonable to not want to take a pay cut. Nothing wrong with that. But I know Barcelona will try to spin it that way. So that's one side of it. The second part of it, the really complicated part that has now come in, is the fact that he's owed wages. Right? He's apparently owed some 15-16 million pounds in deferred payments for his salary. 15-16 million pounds. And so that's an issue. Obviously, De Jong is completely entitled to not leave until he gets paid that money. He doesn't want to leave. And to be fair, I get its point. I mean, if he leaves, Barcelona are never going to pay him for that amount. So if they're not going to pay him for that amount, surely he's got to stay and he's going to try to get that. He doesn't want to leave anyway. So he's probably going, well, you pay me the 15-16 million pounds from the money that you're getting for me, and then I will leave. And Barcelona don't want to do that. They want him to basically not take that money. And now apparently there's new reports that they're trying to get him to take 15% of the payments that are owed. I mean, it's just a weird thing. If you're owed payments, how are you allowed to make signings, right? I mean, how in what right mind does any club or does any regulatory body come out and say, well, yes, you can sign 60 million pound players like Raphinha, but you're okay if you don't pay 15 million pounds in wages to a player? I don't get that. I honestly don't get it. Somebody can explain that to me in the comments, people to do that, but it just doesn't make any sense, does it? So he's owed that payment now. He doesn't want to leave until he gets that payment. And so United are kind of waiting on that. The problem on United's end, of course, is the fact that they have a very limited budget to work with for whatever reason. And so Frenkie was supposed to be a part of that budget. And so they were waiting to get an answer from him before they knew how much money they had left. Now they've kind of decided, okay, we'll move on other deals, but it's kind of too late. They messed up their transfer window as well. But really, I don't want to talk too much about United, but they have messed up their transfer window. So now they're waiting. The thing with De Jong and Man United now is, it was Mark Goldbridge who made this analogy. It was really good, actually. It was a good analogy they made. Was when you're standing in a queue, and sometimes you stood in the queue for so long, there's a long queue, and you kind of got into it, but then you stood for an hour in the queue, right? And maybe there's another 2 hours still to go before you get to the counter. You now decide, I waited for an hour. Do I wait another 2 hours and get my stuff, right? And make that 1 hour mean something? Or do I just walk away now and realize, well, I've saved 2 hours? And so I think that's where United are at the point. They've spent 2 months on this deal. They've got another 2 months before the transfer window closes. Do they want to spend 3.5 months on this deal? Because I don't think it's getting done until close to the end of the transfer window. I really don't. One way or the other, I don't think it's getting decided until then. So do they wait and make the 2 months that they wasted mean something? Or do they go, well, we wasted 2 months on this. We're probably going to have to waste another 2 months, which we can't afford to. So let's move out. So they've got to look at it from that way. Either it's embarrassing for Man United. But from Barcelona's point of view, I think they want to sell him. I just think all of that, what Laporta said, is lip service. I think they want to sell him. And they want to sell him because they know they can fund other purchases from that. The issue that they have, the problem for Laporta is the same that he had with Messi, right? He wanted to keep Messi, but at the same time, he knew that they couldn't afford him. So the way that they made it was that Laporta is a master of spin, right? I mean, he's someone who can, we talk about the Glazers being bad. I think Laporta is right up there in terms of spin masters. He's a master of spinning things around and making Barcelona look like a really, like this noble club. And he's very good at that. And I think Laporta is trying that with De Jong as well. He's basically making it seem like, well, we want to keep him. We want to keep this player, but this player doesn't want to do it for the club. Like he's not trying to help us out when we need him to. And so I feel that's where this is right now, where Laporta is basically trying to make it seem like De Jong is pushing for a move. But by dint of De Jong not doing things that no normal human being would do. Right. So if I was in a position, I would say, no, I want my money. And I want my money. I'm not going anywhere. I want my money. Right. But they made it that way that we want to keep him, but there's salary issues. So, if he agrees to salary issues, we'll keep him. We want to keep him, but salary issues. And so that's the way it is. So I feel Laporta is trying to spin that, and he's trying to spin it in a way where they can kind of make it seem like they almost greedy and left, or that, Barcelona just couldn't afford to keep him anymore and all of those things. So I do believe, I remember actually about Laporta actually even last season made this comment on Messi when Messi left. He was like, I just wish Messi had said he would play for free. I expected him to say that. I hoped he would say that he would play for free. It's illegal, by the way. He couldn't have played for free. But still, I think that's Laporta, the way he talks is like that, right? Like imagine a player, imagine a CEO or a president they're saying that he wished that his best player, and probably one of the best players the world has ever seen, would play for free, right? I mean, that's the way he is. So I think that's where I mean, they're not on that level, but I think they will ultimately be that. The problem though, and now there's a third club involved, which is Chelsea. And we come to Chelsea. Chelsea are basically trying to negotiate for Marcos Alonso and Cesar Azpilicueta to go to Barcelona. So it's a very simple deal there that you could do, is where you could, because Barcelona is strapped for cash, they could just use that and go, well, you know, De Jong is available. Do you want him? Do you wish to take him? Now, according to latest reports, apparently De Jong is not interested in going to Chelsea. I got BS on that. I know. If he is willing to go to Manchester United, he'll be willing to go to Chelsea. I don't think there'll be any difference there. What those reports are saying, I can completely understand De Jong saying he's not going to go to Chelsea because he's going to stay at Barcelona. That is completely understandable. But if there are any reports that are saying that he wishes to go to Manchester United over Chelsea, those are bullshit. Those are completely false. There's no way those are true. Because there's not, you'd rather go to Chelsea than go to Manchester United anyway. So why not? Why would you not go to Chelsea? I mean, they're going to be in the Champions League. They've got a great manager in Thomas Tuchel. It's a much more settled team as well. And you know, just in general, I think, you know, you'd rather go to Chelsea or Manchester United. There's no reason why you would not, unless you want to say Barcelona. But then in that case, you don't want to go to Manchester United anyway. So I think that's an easy deal to do. The issue again goes back to the issue of deferred payments. As long as that deferred payments is not resolved, I don't think De Jong is going anywhere. And when that is resolved, they might very well look at it and go, well, Chelsea, do you want him? Because, you know, then they get those discounts and those transfer fees that they're paying as well. So that's where that's where it is at the moment. I don't see De Jong fitting in at Chelsea though. I should put this as well. So I don't see De Jong fitting in Chelsea, because I remember, I think it was Adarsh or Gaurav, I think it was, who said that he's basically a version of Jorginho. And I think that's wrong, by the way, but he did mention that his style is a lot similar to Jorginho. I don't think Jorginho is a ball carrier in the way that De Jong is. De Jong is much more of a ball carrier. They both like to be deep lying playmakers. That's true. But De Jong can also carry the ball, which I don't think Jorginho can. So I don't think they play similar. But the fact is, you can't really play De Jong in a midfield too, unless you're playing an out-and-out CDM next to him. So that's something that Chelsea do play with the midfield too. The normal midfield too is usually Kante and Kovacic. So that's how they play. You could possibly play De Jong in place of Kovacic, maybe. But I don't know if that midfield will work. And the thing is, Kante also needs to be sold. So, or not be sold, but his future needs to be resolved. So I don't see Chelsea fitting in unless they then go and buy another defensive midfielder. So unless the plan is already to do that, I don't see him fitting there. Not that I see him fitting Man United. I'm not saying that, but I don't see him fitting at Chelsea in the way that Chelsea played. So the question is, how do you fit in? And not to forget, they still have the Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek, Gilmour, possibly Conor Gallagher might be able to play in that position as well. Because you potentially got 6 players. You know, not counting Ross Barkley, but they've got potentially 6 players for those 2 spots. They probably are going to sell at least 1 or 2 of those midfielders. But unless they sell those 1 or 2 midfielders, I don't think there's a spot for De Jong to come in. So I don't see De Jong moving to Chelsea. I don't see him moving to Chelsea because of the issues around the midfield area. The fact that his wages are pretty high as well, and the fact that I think De Jong will you know, I just don't see Chelsea making an investment. I can see the deal happening if Barcelona push for it, but I just don't see it happening. You know, from a playing point of view, I don't see it happening. And so therefore, where does Frenkie de Jong end up? I think he will end up staying at Barcelona. I think he will end up staying at Barcelona against his will, against Laporta's will, at least until close to the end of the transfer window. And I think this is one of those sagas that I think close to the end of the transfer window, there will be a break where I think, you know, Barcelona will probably go, you know, this is where we're at, right? This is where we're at right now. Do we keep you? Do we sell you? If we keep you, this is the issue. If we sell you, so we're going to try and sell you. And they will come to a negotiated compromise. I think that's where that will go. Where he will go after that, that's a big question. I still feel United, you know, look like they might get him. And the reason why I feel like that is because United are the only club that could perhaps work with the restrictions that Barcelona have, that could work with the conditions that Barcelona have. I don't think any other club really wants to. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you look at the other clubs, does Manchester City need him? No, not really. Do they want him? No. Does PSG really want him? No. I mean, they could do with him, but they already have enough player. I just don't think they're gonna go for a player like that at the moment. And we're talking about Chelsea. Liverpool have no interest in that. Spurs have already signed about players. I don't think they're gonna look for him. I don't think he fits the way Conte plays anyway. And then you get into, Bayern Munich. No, not really. I don't see Bayern Munich going for him, especially if they're going for the Ligt. And then you go to Serie A, and I don't see any Serie A clubs really. I mean, it's just the price tag as well. It's not a small amount. I mean, a lot of people say 56 million pounds, but it's actually 76 because you also got to include the add-ons. The add-ons will have to be paid at some point, right? So you're still including that as well. I don't think Serie A clubs do those kind of deals anymore. So it's hard to see any other club other than Manchester United, getting him. So yeah, I mean that's where, if he's going to end up, that's where he's going to end up. But this deal is, the saga is not going to be resolved until the end of August. That's what I feel, and that's fan on board. And that is the biggest reason why I was excited. I really didn't want to sign with Manchester United anymore. I really wanted us to go for cheap players, young players, unproven players. 20-30 million pound signings. Players who are talented, by the way. I'm not saying that these are players who are not. I'm not saying we build a squad of 11 McTominays. But more players that are talented, but are not necessarily been given that opportunity at the top level yet. They're still there. There's still something to prove, and they're not on the radar of the big clubs. It requires a little bit of scouting, but it can be done. And that was what I was hoping for. But then this deal, the reason why this deal appealed was, well, it seems like a decent price, and you can do it within a week or two. So it's like, well, that's good. That's the change for United, right? But it has to try it on for 2 months and all the good parts, and it's still a high price deal. It's still, a long saga. It's still something that has held everything up. So to me, that has taken me away from this deal. So whether it happens or not for Manchester United, I think it's an embarrassing. I just think it's not a deal that's worth. It's not a deal that looks like it was worth doing anymore. Let me put it this way. And maybe they will do it. Maybe they will, and maybe they should. But the reality, and maybe now they can't back away from it anyway. But it just doesn't seem like a deal that's worth doing anymore. But anyway, let me know in the comments, what do you think? What do you think about this transfer saga? What do you think about Frenkie de Jong joining Manchester United, joining Chelsea? Or do you think he's going to stay at Barcelona? Let me know in the comment section. Always love to hear your thoughts. Happy to have a discussion as well there. If you did enjoy this video, do remember to smash a like and also share your comments, of course. And remember to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook. As I mentioned 2 days ago, we've just crossed 700 subscribers on Facebook. We want to keep going that. We want to move on to the next milestone. So please do help us by doing that. We're also getting very close to 160 subscribers on YouTube. So please do subscribe so we can cross that milestone as well. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.